ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. In the story of the Exodus of Egypt, which we're going to commemorate now in the celebration of Pesach, there is a very particular law, a very particular instruction. Things have to be done in a hurry. And it's reflected also in the matzah. You don't have enough time for the flour and the water. What you did, it should rise. You don't permit it to rise. You bake the matzah immediately. Why? Because everything has to be done in a hurry. You know, when the time comes to leave, when freedom knocks on your door, you can't say wait till tomorrow. You got to do it as soon as possible. Bechipazon in Hebrew. And many things we do that night. You know, we shouldn't eat the meal all night long. You know, you have to tell a lot about the story of Egypt, but the meal should be done fast, so to speak. As a matter of fact, there is a dispute in the Talmud. Until what time can you eat the Korban Pesach? You know, today, the matzah, the maror, that is the basic element that reminds us of Pesach. But when the Beit HaMikdash was in existence, the most important part was really to eat of the sacrificial lamb, the lamb that was offered that night. Nowadays, the important elements the night of Pesach are matzah, maror, but years ago, it was really the meat of the lamb. That was the sacrifice, the paschal lamb that they had offered, and that had to be eaten barbecued, you know, cooked directly on the fire. The Talmud asks the question, until what time can you eat that lamb? And there are two opinions. One is Rabbi Elazar says, until midnight. By midnight you must have finished eating that. And Rabbi Akiva says you have time until the morning. Two different opinions. But in any event, you couldn't leave it for days. You had to do it then. What is the difference between the two? So somebody suggested, you know, Rabbi Elazar was really on Egyptian time. At midnight, it says in the Torah that all the firstborn were killed. So the Pharaoh said, get out of here right away. That was his time, Egyptian time, because the firstborn had been killed. But Rabbi Akiva says, no, that's Hebrew time, because until our ancestors got everything together, they really left in the morning. At midnight is when the firstborn died, but they left Egypt really in the following morning. So therefore he says, you can eat the Korban Pesach until the morning. Which brings me to think, you know, there are two different times. One is the Egyptian time, one is the Hebrew time. On what time schedule do you work? Do you work on your boss's time schedule? Do you work on your own time schedule? Do you work on your children's time schedule? On whose time schedule are you working? What I mean to say is that many a time you have to do things because you're obligated to do it. You have to meet a certain deadline. You can't help it. And time doesn't depend upon you. But many a time depends upon you. And if you become so accustomed to work on somebody else's timetable, you forget what is your own timetable. You know, when Jews came en masse, in great numbers, to the city of New York at the end of the 19th century, in the beginning of the 20th century, you know how many days a week they worked? They worked 6 days a week. Their day of rest was Sunday, not the Sabbath. They had to work on Saturdays. All factories worked on Saturday. And many people who had come from religious homes, when they came to the United States, didn't have a choice. They had to work on somebody else's schedule. Do you know that on Sundays, liquor stores used to be closed till 1 o'clock? There were Sunday laws. All stores had to be closed by law on Sunday. It is only in the last few years that we see stores are open 7 days a week. There are no longer Sunday laws, something like that. So many a time when Jews came to the United States, on whose time were they working? They were working on American time. Whatever society said you had to do, you had no choice. So many a person that wanted to observe the Sabbath had to make a great sacrifice. There were many people that had stores, and they were closed 2 days a week, Saturday and Sunday. They could have worked on Sunday, but there were Sunday laws that didn't allow them. Here comes the state of Israel again. You know what are the legal holidays in the state of Israel? Pesach is a legal holiday. Sukkot is a legal holiday. Shavuot is a legal holiday. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. There are different legal holidays where everybody is closed. If you want to observe the Sabbath in the state of Israel, it is very easy to do, because those are the days that the Jewish state celebrates as days of not working. So, in a sense, when our ancestors were in Egypt, they had to work according to Egyptian time, to the time and the calendar that was imposed by somebody else. It is only with the establishment of the state of Israel that Jews can once again really work on Jewish time, and they can spend their time according to what the teachings of their ancestors and what our Torah taught us. So remember, how you use your time, in a sense, nowadays depends upon you. Because nowadays there is tremendous freedom in the United States. You can work whenever you want to, you can open the store whenever you want to, and you can, of course, keep the Sabbath. So if you don't keep the Sabbath, it is not because external forces are making you do it. Nowadays, you are electing to do it. Make sure you elect the right thing to do.